LMA Manager of the Year, you've been at playoff final at Wembley, you've been responsible for the best ever points tally we've had in the Football League. When you look back at the 2014-15 season, you must be very proud of what your staff and the players have achieved.
Yeah, I've said it. Pride is the overwhelming emotion. Staff, players, fans have got to bring into that as well, because obviously the season before didn't go too well. There must have been a few eyebrows raised when I kept my job. When I started the season with a new squad, when I was and so to have so many people supporting us right from the off, and then many turned during the season, and hopefully a few at the end of the season, a few new ones. It's been great fan-wise as well. So they've got to come into that category of people I'm proud of, and it was a great day at Wembley. You know, a great day to be able to take the team there and experience that. And like I say, obviously we'll come to that, but it was a season that nobody expected us to do what we did, and even myself, I've said many times, I was surprised at how well we connected, how well we gelled at the start of the season. We went off like a train, and nobody expected that in their wildest dreams. So I think 2014-15 will be a good season to look back.
Let's take you right back to last summer, because the club survived relegation by the skin of our teeth, really. It was clear that change was needed. There was a change at the top with the new chairman, Andrew Howard, coming in. But from the playing side of things, what was it that you really wanted to implement last summer?
Yeah, we had to change a lot. Myself and Richard Dobson, Barry Richardson, you know, had joined us late that season. We knew there was some big changes to be made. We were lucky to be able to review, I think, about 14, 15 contracts, and not many stayed. There was a few that we wanted to keep, but it's not about the people sometimes, it's about the club, about the dynamics of the club, and you change people just because we needed a new nucleus in that dressing room. We needed new energy, new impetus, new focus from people. So it wasn't necessarily these are bad players, it just needed a change, and we knew that. And we also knew that what we'd become as a management team, what we required on the pitch. And it takes time, it does take time. You know, in 6 months, that whirlwind that took over the season before, we got results, and that was probably because of the change of manager. You know, you get a little injection of something. We managed to have a good end to the season that season, but then the season after that was all about learning for us, and we learned about ourselves as a management team as much as the players, and as much as I learned a lot of lessons towards the end of the season. But we really came up with a plan of what we were as a management team, what I was as a manager, how I wanted to play. And I think once you've got those ideas in your head, you can then sign players to match those ideas.
One of the highlights of pre-season was the game here against Chelsea. A testimonial from Matt Bloomfield, very well deserved after 10 years, and for you an opportunity to go head-to-head in the dugout with Jose Mourinho and to pull boots on as well.
Yeah, and one of those players I mentioned that we did keep the season before was Matt Bloomfield. You know, he's someone you wouldn't want to be without in the dressing room. Not just because he's Wycombe through and through, but because his ethics of work and teamwork and togetherness. He was one that we did want to keep. Although again, it took some wranglings in the summer to do that. But you know, the connection we had with Chelsea was great for Matt, because I think he was wondering which game he could have for his testimonial. So what better one to come out the woodwork than Chelsea at home, and like you say, it was a fantastic night for somebody who really deserved it at this club. You know, it's not often you see that now. Testimonials, they'll become few and far between clubs. So for Matt to have that night, it was fantastic. Great player, great attitude, good friend, which is often hard for me because he doesn't play every week, but he understands why, and he knows and he fights hard to get back in the team. But that night was all about him. I did have my little cameo at the end, and it's about the last time I've been out at Adams Park. That don't count. Running out this year. Again, we're gonna have a small squad, but and for Chelsea to go on and be the champions so convincingly, to have held that game was something great for Wycombe, and really pleasing that Matt got a great turnout for that.
What do you remember about the morning of the first game of the season at Newport County? You're waking up as manager of a team that it was a different team, but there were still some skeletons of the previous year behind you. What were your thoughts leading into that first
Plenty
game?
of skeletons. I'd had a decent pre-season with the team, and we got through some good stuff. We lost Gary Doherty on the week previous through injury, and we'd loaned Danny Rowe obviously again from Rotherham, and Danny came down 2 weeks previous to that. So all the plans were that Danny would play in centre half with Aaron Pierre at Newport. Now we get to the latter end of the week, and Danny hadn't shaken his dead leg off. He got in the Barnet game, which ultimately finished Doc's career, you know. So we really had to get our thinking caps on that. So before we could worry about the results at Newport, we had to get the team out, and we were centre half short. And I remember being in the office with Dobbo and going through potentials, and at this late stage everyone had got their teams in and nobody else was getting loaned out anywhere. But there was one chance we could get this kid from Brentford called Alfie Mawson, who I knew from Welling. He had played at Welling the year before. Dobbo knew from his time at Brentford, and obviously had seen him playing for the 21s. We both liked what we'd seen, but we had no idea he could go on to be the player he was that season. So Dobbo made the call with his contacts at Brentford, and we said, look, we'd like to loan Alfie Mawson. We'll take him. One of our centre halves is injured. He's going to play on Saturday. We can't guarantee he's going to play after that, but it'd be a great experience for the lad. Little did we know what that would turn into, but it was an important game to win, the Newport one. So putting a centre half in that only trained with us one day, it probably took some of the focus away and the worry away that we were up against anything. But I remember Andrew ringing me on the morning of the game, said what time's the team bus leaving. I told him he came down. He wasn't going to be at the game, but he came down to see the team bus off and shook every player's hand. And I knew we had a good chairman before that, but that just hit home how special he was going to be, to wish all the players all the best. And I just remember bringing him at the end of the game after the 2-0 win, and it just felt like we'd exercised quite a few demons from the season before just in that win, and probably one of the best wins of the season for me, that to go away and convincingly beat Newport, not because they were one of the teams that took us off the rails the season before away. I remember losing terrible day, and started worrying then about relegation. So to do that away, first game of the season, and we actually saw in the team some special moments, some real togetherness that we thought, wow, these lot gelled together quick, and made a great platform for the next game.
Well, yeah, it set the tone before the start of the season. You picked up 3 wins from the first 4 games, scored 8 goals in those 4 games. Do you think that set the tone in terms of showing how you were going to play, that you were going to attack teams and try to score goals?
Yeah, teams reflect the manager, and I was always a player to go and attack teams. Some of my ex-managers wish I wasn't sometimes, and they wanted me to defend more. But I was. The game's about goals. The game's about going forward, and you're going to take that out of me. I love the goals going. I love we may concede 1 or 2 more than we should, but we'll score more than we should as well, because we'll go and attack teams. We'll go with pace and go with purpose forward, and I think that those 4 games really did show how we were going to play and what we were going to be about. And like I said, the signings we did make, the fullbacks for me, Cedo and Joe Jacobson, really came to the fore in them 4 games, and we knew we had a solid back 4 to build from.
As much as the attack were getting the plaudits with the goals early on, by the end of September you had 5 clean sheets from 10 games. Matt Ingram, the Football League Young Player of the Month award, but as a whole back 5, you must have been so impressed with how quickly they gelled.
Yeah, again, Aaron Pierre was a player we took from Brentford the season before. I remember going to watch him, and people were surprised that we'd flag Aaron Pierre up, and it just goes to show opinions can vary, and it's about what you see in players. But he was looking as solid as ever, playing with his mate Alfie next to him, and Matt Ingram, for such a young keeper to have so many games under his belt, it just felt like we were going to be able to defend well in League Two, and that enables us to go and attack. And like I say, the two fullbacks, very forward thinking, and the way we play suits them down to the ground. So the defence definitely deserves some of the plaudits, not just for September, but for the whole season. And that was just the start of it.
One game that really springs to mind was the 1-1 draw against Northampton. I think it was a real grudge match in the end, a great game for the neutral to watch. But one thing that stood out, the character of the team to go and score that 98th minute equaliser, which became a trend over the season, these late goals. What did it teach you, that game, about the strength and determination of your team?
Yeah, it was actually one of the first games where we hadn't scored. We hadn't gone off and scoring lots of goals. We didn't look like we were at the races some of the game. We conceded a sloppy goal, I remember, from a set play, but there was a block off in that, and there was a free header, I think, from Creswell from Northampton, and we started then chucking everything at them second half, and there was a few moments in the game which added to the spice, and myself and Chris Wilder had been in a relegation battle the season before as well, so it was two teams that had been down there the season before that were really battling away, and it did look to everyone that this was going to be a home defeat and really deflate us a little bit. But Big Aaron coming on and scoring his first goal, great moment for him. But the scenes that followed, the togetherness, the fight of not just the players, and I'm not talking about a fight as a fist fight, I'm talking about the fight inside someone. It was there in abundance. I know for a fact that the fans went home absolutely elated that game, and again, it just seemed to hit home about what we were, how the club has changed, and what we've become. We don't know when we'll beat, and we won't do this season. So really, one of the first, like you say, last minute goals that we scored this season.
The following week, very significant. It was the first time the team went top of the league with 3-1 win at Northampton. There was a goal of the season contender from Sam Wood in there as well. But by this point, I think the media and some of the supporters have come around to the idea that Wycombe could be promotion contenders. What do you remember thinking at that point, sitting top of the league on the 11th of October?
Honestly, we were still looking at the bottom of the league. Say that without without any hint of a lie. We were still looking at the bottom of the league. We were thinking, how fast can we get away from where we were last year? And so myself, Richard, Baz, we kept looking there. Dobbo has charts in his room that he comes up with at the start of the season to see where projected we're going to end up, and things were looking great. But I was still thinking, right, let's get this club safe. I'm not going through what I went through last season, so I was still looking at the bottom of the league, seeing how far points away. Probably I knew better how many points we were away from 22nd in the league than second, and it's a crazy thing to say, but it's true. And we kept looking over our shoulders and just kept striding forward as quickly as we could to that 55-point mark that myself and Andrew had come up with at the start of the season, and that was the goal. So it was a fantastic goal. I remember Aaron Pierre getting knocked out from Matt Ingram, and people thinking, oh, this is it, now we're losing players. But no, we kept going. A great journey to come on top of the league.
The unbeaten away record was ended finally at the end of October at Exeter. The next away day was a very spectacular one. Local derby at Oxford, going a goal behind, but ultimately returned to the top of the league with some late drama. What do you remember about that day?
Yeah, obviously it was a derby game. The fans were well up for it, and for once in many moons we were above Oxford in the league. We were looking like a better team, and I just remember as the year before and the year before that partisan crazy atmosphere of that far side of the fans. I knew it would be big. I knew it would be a big derby. It always is. The Wycombe fans are really proud of that, and I'm proud of trying to take the M40 for this. So it was a game where full of drama. We got a penalty missed, I think, right at the end from them. Peter Murphy, one of his trademark headers, late running the box, and again the introduction of Hogan Ephraim, which many people were excited about, as we turned it on in pre-season quite a bit, and things hadn't gone well elsewhere. So again, signs are looking great that we could achieve things this season for all and sundry, but we were still thinking great derby win, one for the fans, get them back on side, and keep away from the bottom of that league. This 55 points is going to be quicker than we think.
The fine run of form attracted the TV cameras here to Adams Park again against Burton. Probably bad timing with the appointment of Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank for them, but then you very quickly showed your impressive away form again. Wins at Cheltenham and Hartlepool, taking up to 7 away wins by the end of November. Scored 7 goals in those 2 games. Absolutely flying away from home. What do you put that down to?
Yeah, it was the defeats we had were few and far between, and apart from the turn in February, but I think they just kept us focused. It was sort of 3-4 results on the spin, and then a defeat, and then we'd go 3 or 4 again on a spin, and it was almost like, don't get complacent, boys. Here's a kick up the backside. Let's go again. And the Burton game seemed to be that. TV, like you say, I think we were missing a couple of players. I think Josh had to go to right back, and we had players out of position. So I think when we went up to there with a fully squad, I think we saw what we were capable of. And but the 2 games, Cheltenham and Hartlepool, it was great because the scoring had returned in a big way. It's Stevie on the Bloom's getting goals, and Paris some fantastic goals, in that little run. Just goals from everywhere. We weren't relying on one person. We had chances after chances, and just great away trips. A real good season of away trips. Some long ones as well, which I think we've lost this season. There's not too many long ones, but real good times on the bus on the way home. No mental, no parties, but a real content buzz around the bus that we were a lot different than the season before.
Let's just touch on cup competitions quickly, because obviously we're knocked out in the first round of the Capital One Cup at Millwall, Jonathan's Plain Trophy by Coventry, and then your good mate Neil Ardley ended our interest in the FA Cup in December. But do you think possibly the limitations that you had on the squad meant that it was always going to be difficult to sustain league and cup form?
If I'm honest, I think the cup competitions were great. We gave a real good account of ourselves away at Millwall, and could have won that game. I think the Coventry game at home was again an indication that things had gone from strength to strength this season, really taking a League One club to the limit. I think they scored with us at 10 men, with Bloom's getting his head stitched up. So there were positive signs in both of those games that we could achieve something. The Wimbledon game would have been a great one to win, and if I'm honest, I was disappointed not to win that. With the draw Wimbledon got, if we had had Liverpool at home, it would have helped no end on a lot of fronts, and not least the comparison back in the FA Cup run in the early 2000s for Wycombe. So would have been nice. And Wimbledon were a team we'd really done well against a couple of weeks before that, so disappointing. But again, Alfred being cup tied and a change of team seemed to scupper us on a couple of games. Focus on the league, maybe, is a cliche that people use, but things happened this year where it just seemed to go for us. And the cup competitions, although they didn't go the results-wise, it gave us a lot more focus and determination in the league. And once we had achieved our 55 points, I think, without any distractions to kick on and see what we could achieve, yeah, it was nice. But I'll love a cup run this year.
True Wycombe fashion, you bounced back from that Wimbledon defeat with a fantastic 4-1 victory over Southend, and then we're ensured we'd be top of Christmas with a draw at Accrington. But you had a rather different experience that day when we were at Accrington. One game you've missed as manager of Wycombe Wanderers.
Yeah, and I think it's the one game I've missed for a long time in football. I I've prided myself on always been fit and available for most of my career. So you know, not to make it as manager was a little bit embarrassing, but I was hit for 6. You know, it really was. It was. I remember being in this office where we're speaking now on the Thursday. I had a meeting with Andrew Howard, and he took one look at me and said, "Get yourself home." He said, "What are you doing?" I was shivering. I was. If anyone has had the flu, then they'll know what I'm talking about. I could not move, and that stayed with me till probably Sunday. You know, and I think we had Monday off, and I came in Tuesday finally. A weakened man, but you know, it was terrible. It was a real tough one to take. I remember reading up on the Fridays. I've always everything going okay. Yeah, everyone was just saying no, just don't worry about anything. How can you not worry? You know, you got this team going at Accrington, which was going to be a big back home for me. It was obviously my part of the world, and again, we didn't make it. So the right decision in the end. You know, there's no way I could have made it. But listening on the radio, I remember with Kane, my boy, he was in the room with me, and we were both listening on the Chairboys player. Paris scoring a fantastic goal, and then getting back into it. Draw away from home was any good result, but like I said, I wish I could have been there. Take me vitamins this year. I won't be missing any more.
The year finished 2 very good points in the end against Luton and Shrewsbury, particularly going to Shrewsbury without Paul Hayes, without Peter Murphy, 3 outfield players on the bench. That was a real sign of the limitations you had in the squad. So to come away from those 2 games with points and an unbeaten December, that's been very pleasing for you.
Yeah, again, you know, showing where we'd come, and probably that week or those couple of games, people just started turning around and thinking, you know what, this team could do something this year, because Luton were very strong. You know, spent more than most, and big club, and rightly so. They want to get back higher, you know, and they'll be doing that again this year. And we had a great game against them, you know, and it was a real local one again, big fans, and then Shrewsbury a week later, you know, to go there, and we knew we had to stop the way they played, because they were fantastic at home. And I think growing as a management and tactical team, we put out a system man to man on a couple of their players, and deserved the draw. For the first half, we may have nicked it, and second half, you know, they put it in their net, but it was offside. And I remember Cedo coming in the dressing room after the game saying that he played offside. I can't believe he played offside at that moment. And looking back at the video, he had, you know, and that's again testament to the players you bring in. You know, it's a fantastic move by Cedo to play him offside at the last minute, and thank goodness the referees were on it that day, and Mark Clattenburg, wasn't it? You know, so it's good we had a top referee that day. But like going into the new year, we'd really established ourselves as one of the top sort of 8 team, and that was pinch yourself time. But we had the scars from the season before, and we weren't going to get carried away, and I don't think I ever will get carried away after the season before, which is probably a good thing. And like I say, it's a great turn of the year to be right up there, and 2 great points against 2 of the biggest teams in the league.